Hello, welcome back to the Cricket Nerds, and it's IPL season, kinda. It's IPL auction season. I think that's where we as nerds really thrive. We love the IPL auction, and as of today, which the time of recording is, the date of recording is the 26th of November. So today has been when the first sort of draft of retentions has been released. Now, there might be trades that go on after this. So, we will kind of keep you updated as we know more. But we're just going to go through each team, talk about the players that they've retained, the squads that they've got, some of the notable people that might have released, and some of the trades that have happened so far, because already there have been far more trades than we've seen previously. Now, I believe the trading window closes like not long before the actual IPL auction happens.
Yeah. They have a while. They have a while to keep trading, but yeah, we've seen some big trades, and I reckon we jump straight in to Mumbai Indians, who have been making some big moves. And the biggest headline: Hardik Pandya is back. He has been traded from Gujarat Titans into Mumbai Indians, and it is the biggest cash trade in IPL history. As a result, Mumbai Indians have also traded out Cameron Green to RCB. So I'm going to throw this over to Zach as our resident RCB expert. What do you think this means for Mumbai Indians? And more importantly, for you, what do you think the Cameron Green trade means to RCB?
Well, I think for Mumbai Indians, having Hardik Pandya back is massive because since Mumbai have let go of Hardik Pandya and he's played for Gujarat, Gujarat have been one of the strongest teams in the IPL over the last 2 seasons. We've seen how well they've done. And I think just Hardik Pandya's all-round ability to just score at a strike rate of 200 and get those big scores and also take big wickets, bowl well through the middle overs and field insanely well. And he's got that captaincy nous about him, which seems to work well. I just think he's just that perfect all-round package that any team he's in is going to look so much stronger. So the fact that he's gone back to Mumbai just makes Mumbai's chances of winning yet another IPL trophy that much higher. Trading out Cameron Green needed to happen for Mumbai to make that deal happen. Otherwise, they'll just go into the auction with nothing. And they can't afford to do that. And Cameron Green is obviously a big money player, traded him to RCB. So it makes perfect sense. Whether he makes perfect sense for RCB is yet to be realised. I mean, he's got a bright future ahead of him. I don't know if it's RCB are kind of putting a lot of faith in him and seeing how that goes. So we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, Faf du Plessis is getting quite old. They'll need someone at the top of the order who can replace him eventually. So maybe they see Cameron Green as that sort of player coming in. So I'm not upset about the trade. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's massive changes all around, really, isn't it?
We'll come on to RCB in a second because they've been doing a lot in their releasing as well, and it transpires in order to, pay for the Cameron Green getting traded in. But I think for me, I think it's a bit of a strange move, personally, Hardik moving back to Mumbai, because he's been at Gujarat for 2 seasons. He's been able to play the role that he wants. Like, he's batted at number 4, he's opened the bowling, he's bowled all of his overs. Actually, I don't see Hardik Pandya going in and replacing Rohit Sharma as captain. Actually, is he going to be utilised in the way that he wants to, or will he be a bit more like we've seen in the World Cup, where he bats at, number 6? I think Mumbai have about 3 different number 6s, and then bowls an over here or there. So yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how that works. James, do you have any thoughts on this?
I've got lots of thoughts. I mean, Hardik Pandya to Mumbai for Mumbai is incredible. I think there are about 3 players that I can kind of list off the top of my head that are like irreplaceable. Like nobody else really does what they do for a number of reasons. First one is Jasprit Bumrah. because he's an all-phase player. He's an Indian player, which means he doesn't take up one of your overseas slots. And I mean, nobody else's elbow bends to that angle that can get that much fling. He's an incredible bowler. So he's number one. Rashid Khan is a very, very good leg spinner and lower order hitter as well. He's quite irreplaceable too. And the other one is Hardik Pandya. He balances any side. He's an incredible batter, incredible bowler, and he's Indian. So he doesn't take up one of your overseas slots that, quite often get occupied by all-rounders because they don't have Hardik Pandya. The main cause for confusion for me is why on earth Gujarat let him go. It doesn't make sense to me. I can't justify in my head why they would, unless there was an insane amount of money in this transfer fee that is kind of a mystery. It's undisclosed. It doesn't make sense to me because no sane team would let Hardik Pandya go. He is too good. It's incredible. Mumbai, I think they've made an excellent decision, trading Cameron Green out. They've got so many top order batters that they don't need him. Hardik Pandya's got that ability. Like, you can stick him in at 7, he'll still be able to finish off a game. Whereas, if I think that they've got like Rohit Sharma, Ishan Kishan, Sky, Tilak Varma, Nehal Wadhwera, like they've got lots of top order, and Tim David. There's your top 6. So Hardik Pandya's probably going to be in at 7, and Cameron Green isn't as good at number 7. I don't think he's kind of will thrive towards the top. So it makes perfect sense. They've also released some big names.
Yes,
they got rid of Jofra Archer, which I think is about time. Tristan Stubbs, he could, he's a high potential player. Dwan Janssen, so Marco's twin brother, slightly less successful, sadly for him. I think those are the big names. Ramandeep Singh, I actually think he's all right. I think he's a Punjab. I've got a feeling he's pretty decent. So some obviously big releases that they need to free up some cash for the auction. Very excited about it. But yeah, I've got some questions about it. Gujarat are obviously in the wrong side of the Hardik deal for my money. They've got a massive purse now. They're up to 38 crore, which in a mini auction you're going to need because everybody's prices get inflated. There are fewer resources. So quite how they're going to replace Hardik is a mystery to me. They're also going to need to look for a captain somehow. They've also released Alzari Joseph, and he was, for me, the biggest name in that release other than Hardik Pandya. Like, they've also released Odean Smith, obviously. Dasan Shanaka, Yash Dayal, high potential there. Shivam Mavi, again, he's all right. But Alzari Joseph, I thought he did a really good job for them last season. I think he's been really good for them throughout. He's so high pace. I think he's going to be a very, very interesting person to watch in the auction because any kind of recruiter worth their salt is going to see Alzari Joseph and think that there's a target for us. So whether or not,
I'm pretty sure Alzari Joseph still holds the best figures in IPL, bowling figures off 4 overs, which he got about 3 or 4 seasons ago. So he has had that promise, but I think he has been really good. But for me, it shows that Gujarat are putting a lot of faith in Josh Little because he came into play a little bit towards the end of last season. So I think it's great news for Josh Little. As you said, James, they've released Odean Smith, which is the correct decision. They're finally. I don't know how Odean Smith is still convincing players that he's worth an overseas spot, but he'll probably.
I get that the upside of him on paper is brilliant. Someone that can hit the deck hard and can smack the ball miles because he's built like an ox.
But I mean, he lost Punjab. He lost Punjab so many games when he played for them that I remember those overthrows that he threw past the stumps for that run out was one of the funniest moments that I've seen. For me, the most surprising release for them, aside from Hardik Pandya, is actually KS Barrett, who I think had a really good IPL last season. I think the reason why they've got rid of him because KS Barrett also played he's been playing in the Test side with Rishabh Pant being out, and K. Rahul was out of the team for a bit as well. I think the reason they've done that is because they've got two other good wicketkeeper opening batters in Matthew Wade and Riddiman Saha. So you can see why they've done it. But I think because they bought KS Barrett last year from RCB in the auction. So we'll be interested to see if he does get picked up. Zach,
Yeah.
do you want to talk any more about Gujarat, or do you want to go on to RCB?
Well, I just think that Gujarat have been the top team over the last 2 seasons in the IPL in terms of consistency of results, in terms of being able to bat deep and bowl out teams cheaply. They've been easily the best. And when you look at some of their players, like they've got a bowling attack with Mohammad Shami and Rashid Khan. It's like such a good pair up to have. And when you look at their batting, I know, James, you mentioned who they're going to replace the captain with. They've got so many options. They've got David Miller. They've got Kane Williamson. They could even give it to Shubman Gill. I mean, there's lots of options there. And when you look at that team, I'm thinking, is it the IPL making a game update with balance changes? Get rid of Hardik Pandya to make it fair for the other team. That's kind of the way I see it, because their team just looks so good. And them giving Hardik Pandya to Mumbai Indians kind of helps Mumbai with their batting deep situation, which they've struggled with for the last few seasons. But yeah, that Gujarat Titans squad, they still look, even without Hardik Pandya, they still look like a really strong team. But moving on to RCB, they've just made so many changes in terms of they've released a lot of their overseas contingent. So we've said goodbye to Hasaranga, Josh Hazlewood, Finn Allen, Michael Bracewell, David Willey, and Wayne Parnell. And it's a shame, really, seeing some of them go. Like Josh Hazlewood's been really consistent, I guess. David Willey's obviously can come in and do a reliable job with both bat and ball. And Wanindu Hasaranga, he's the main one because a couple of years ago, he was one of the best leg spinners in the world. So they're going to need to replace him. I'm not sure what your opinions are in terms of, have they made a lot of mistakes in releasing some of these players?
I think they made some very big calls. They're bold moves without a doubt. Hasaranga, I thought he was an investment for RCB. He was so good, and you could see what potential he had. He is still very young, I think it was his first season at the Chinnaswamy, wasn't it? So is it first or second? Either way,
first season at the Chinnaswamy, yeah. But
yeah,
second season for RCB.
It's a hard place for a leg spinner. And other than Chahal, I don't think I've seen any leg spinners really excel at the Chinnaswamy. Now, that's a separate question. Why on earth did they release Chahal? But Hasaranga, he has that ability to bat as well. I get that RCB didn't trust him with the bat. I don't think he ever batted higher than 8. So I can understand it, and he was expensive. I get that. But I think he could be a high profile purchase at the auction. Hazlewood, like you said, was so consistent for them. That is another interesting one. I completely understand them releasing Harsha Patel. Outside of the UAE, he hasn't really been that good. But yeah, lots of big moves. And then obviously the players that they traded in. They also got rid of Shahbaz Ahmed. They traded him away and got Mayank Dagar from Sunrisers Hyderabad back. I don't know what to make of that yet. I've always kind of rated Shahbaz Ahmed. But I guess that he isn't the best batter and he's not the best bowler. So maybe he's a bit too bits and pieces for RCB's liking.
Yeah, Mayank Dagar is definitely a bowler with a pretty decent record as well. I mean, he played 3 games for Sunrisers and didn't get a bat, which shows that he obviously isn't a top order batsman, is he? So I think bringing in someone like Mayank Dagar kind of set the standards in that we're trying to get stronger spinners in and have more of those options. For me, the biggest confusion is the retention of Reece Topley. I mean, Benj, don't you think he's just too injury prone to last a whole IPL season?
100%. I mean, Reece Topley can't brush his teeth without coming out with an elbow strain. Like, it's just one of those players like him and Mark Wood are just made of glass. And yeah, I think it's a really interesting move, releasing David Willey, yet retaining Reece Topley, when Willey was sort of the replacement from Reece Topley in the ODI World Cup that we've just seen. And seem to perform really well. Now, I know David Willey might be getting a bit older, and Reece Topley is a little bit younger. He's not the youngest player going, but yeah, it's a very strange, a very, very, very strange retention. I think what we'll see from RCB in the auction though is a massive overhaul to their bowling. Like, I think that we'll see a whole new set of pacers coming in, because what RCB have done quite well, they're really good at having the part-timers. So you've got Will Jacks, you've got Glenn Maxwell. Both of those players are people that can give you, 5, 6, 4 or 5, 2 or 3 decent overs. So they'll be okay in that. They do have a lot of players to get, though. I think that's probably the biggest worry for RCB, and they've only got 23 crore to do it, so they'll have to be a little bit clever with their retention, with their purchases in the auction. But I think Cameron Green's a great purchase for them overall. I think gives a bit of extra in at the top of the order, and also can provide that frontline seam attacking as well.
Yeah, just one more thing on RCB is I think one thing that they've had the last few seasons is some really strong overseas players and overseas options, which has kind of messed with the balance of their squad a bit. And it's been hard to say, well, who's going to bowl all the overs? We've almost got too many options. And what I think we need to focus on, and I hope they focus on, is getting some really strong young Indians, or even some really consistent Indian players who can just do a job. I think RCB will be eyeing up Shardul Thakur, who we're going to be talking about in a minute as well. Sure. So that I think having some really strong Indian players to back up Kohli and Mohammad Siraj will be key for RCB. Chennai Super Kings then. We all knew that Ambati Rayudu was retiring at the end of the season, so that's no shock. But the biggest thing for CSK is releasing Ben Stokes, which isn't that much of a shock either, because he's pulled out of this season.
Yeah,
he's a lot of money that they can put on other players. So the question is have CSK done a good thing by retaining most of their squad?
Oh, I mean, the fact that CSK bought Ben Stokes last season in that auction, the very start, I was quite pleased with it, because he looked all right in the ODI in the T20 World Cup that preceded last IPL. But the fact that he's just been injured for the most of the year, he bowled about 3 or 4 overs, and it was just not the best. And I think Stokes only played about 4 or 5 games, not even that, in the last IPL, and it was one of the biggest wastes of money. And what it's done is, it's rarely for CSK. CSK are in sort of the top half with the purse for the auction. So if CSK can use that purse wisely, yeah, that's going to be good for them. I was surprised at Dwayne Pretorius being released. Not so much with Kyle Jamieson and Sisanda Magala. I think that they are trying to release. So I think CSK are going to be going hard for some top overseas players. Potentially like a Pat Cummins, maybe a Jason Holder, that type of player. I could see those falling into CSK, although Jason Holder's not quite old enough for Dad's Army, is he? But as you've said, they have pretty much kept their main squad, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Really, they won last time's IPL. Dhoni has given it one more go, which, I mean, we're just waiting.
He says that every year.
He does say that every year. He will eventually retire. He's like James Anderson. He'll just be let's play until he actually wants to go out. And I don't think he had a good enough IPL last year for his own liking. So, fair play to him. If he wants to give another go, we have to just allow that. He's one of the greatest players to ever play the game. But absolutely unexpected. Like, nothing surprised me about any of CSK's choices. Like, they've pretty much got the same squad. It's just very boring CSK.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like I echoed your thought on Dwayne Pretorius. I was like, oh, but then again, he's all right. Like, you know, he's a decent bowling all rounder, but he's not the best. There are plenty of other good options. So yeah, no surprises there. I'd be interested to go see who they go for. I have got a sneaking suspicion that they could go for Shahrukh Khan, who got released from Punjab Kings, because he's, you know, a Tamil Nadu local. He's played in, you know, various kind of like CSK trials and like you know, practice teams like that. So I think he could potentially come in. And CSK went really hard for him in the auction last year. So yeah, it'd be interesting. Delhi Capitals, who have really cleaned house. They've got rid of a lot of their overseas and just basically tons of batters. So they've got rid of Riley Rousseau, Chetan Sakaria, Rovan Powell, Manish Pandey, Phil Salt, The Fizz, Kamlesh Nagakoti, Ripple Patel, Safraz Khan, and then Aman Khan and Priyam Garg. So obviously some players you'd expect more than others there. I'm slightly surprised that they've released, you know, Chetan Sakaria, Kamlesh Nagakoti. They're both kind of young players that are coming into their own a little bit. I understand them releasing Rousseau and Salt and Powell, but also they're very good players. So I don't really know what to make for it, whether it's just, you know, releasing funds for the auction or what, but it was interesting. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think Delhi have made some interesting choices in their releases, but at the same time, I kind of get it, because what they need is more experienced, better Indian talent. They need a stronger Indian fast bowler than Khalil Ahmed and Ishant Sharma, who's getting quite old now. They probably need a stronger Indian middle order player. They relied a lot last season on Axar Patel, and I think that was kind of not ideal for them, because they needed someone to back him up. They needed that number 6 or number 5 player to kind of be strong and providing those good innings. I don't know if Rishabh Pant's going to be able to play in the next IPL season. I think he's looking at a return, but is his return going to be organs blazing like Jasprit Bumrah, or is it going to be he's going to need to take some time to get into it? I'm not sure. But if he comes back, that's immediately so much better for Delhi Capitals. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of fill that middle order and that fast bowling department, really. But yeah, not much to say for Delhi other than that.
It seems to be a bit of a theme across all of the IPL this year is a lot of fast bowlers being released and a lot of like middle order batters being released. There's a lot of them floating around in the auction pot. It's going to be a great auction. I think Delhi Capitals will need to go hard for some good overseas. I'm thinking like an overseas bowler to back up Imrit Norkia, probably like another overseas all-rounder to back up the likes of Mitch Marsh. That they're the type of people that I would expect them to invest heavily with. And as you say, Zach, they're definitely now missing a finisher. So they're the areas that I'd expect Delhi to go for. To Rajasthan Royals, who have made some big changes, but they seem to only have 14 crore left. So they've got the second lowest purse left in the IPL. They've let Joe Root go, which is sad for all of us. And Jason Holder, who didn't really play at all last year, and traded out Devdutt Padikkal in favour of Avesh Khan. So yeah, I mean, James, what's going on there, really?
So the Root decision made sense for everybody involved. There was no point in him warming the bench. There was no point in him taking up an overseas slot. So it's all good for both sides, and I think they won't have been too sad that he opted out. Jason Holder is a bit of a surprise, but also just looking at the Rajasthan Royals team, it was kind of hard to fit him in. There was Joss Butler and Shimron Hetmeyer, as well as Trent Bolt, that were always going to play. And then, Adam Zampa was always an excellent option for them. And Donovan Ferreira is a really, really exciting player. So they had lots of options kind of going into it. So I understand it. In the same way I understand Devdutt Padikkal going, because they've got a top 3 locked in with Jos Buttler, Yashasvi Jaiswal, and Sanju Samson. And he was no good at number 4. Like, he is an opener. Devdutt Padikkal is an opener. I was surprised when RCB released him back in the day, because I thought he was starting to thrive there. But yeah, he wasn't good at Rajasthan. So I think he could do a job at Lucknow, but also their opening slots are taken with, if they've got Kale Rahul, they've got Quinton de Kock and Kyle Mayers. So a little bit confused by that. Avesh Khan, I think there's you can never have too many international standard Indian bowlers in your squad. It's never going to harm you. And he's still young. He's still plying his trade. I think it makes complete sense for Rajasthan. I think it was an astute bit of dealing. But yeah, like you say, 14.5 crore isn't a whole lot. So they're going to need to really like prioritize the exact role that they're looking for, which I think is going to be something like bowling or bowling all-rounder, probably. That's probably what I'd go for.
I could see him going for like a Dwayne Pretorius or like a Daniel Sams, like a bowler who can bat up the order if needed and can hold their own. That'd be the type of player that I'd expect. Zach, what do you think about
Mitchell Stark? Could be one that they kind of tried to go for.
Although I could see Mitchell Stark going back to RCB, but there we go.
That would be good.
If they've got the money.
Yeah. I mean, Avesh Khan, I think that's the key for them, is that trade, because Devdutt Padikkal was kind of not in his rightful position in number 4, and Avesh Khan has just been very good at taking wickets. He's been consistently taking loads of wickets in the IPL. Kind of goes under the radar doing that. And so for Rajasthan Royals, just strengthening that bowling attack that already has Trent Boult, Yuzvendra Chahal, Prashid Krishna, Adam Zampa, Sandeep Sharma as well. They look like a really strong bowling side. So I kind of don't agree that they need maybe a bowling all-rounder. I think they more need a batting all-rounder, someone who can fill that 6-7 slot and go big.
Punjab Kings.
James's beloved team. Probably our highest following is Punjabi fans. So this is for you guys. Shahrukh Khan, you've already mentioned him being released, along with only 4 other players in Raj Bauer, Baltej Danda, Mohit Rathi, and Bhanuka Rajapaksa.
We have also technically released Matt Short as well, but he only came in as a replacement for Bairstow.
Yeah, but what are your overall thoughts, James? Are you happy with Shahrukh Khan's release? You don't really mind? Are you happy with who they've retained? Do you wish they kind of just passed someone on? What are your thoughts?
I thought it made complete sense. There was nobody in that list that I was like, oh no, I can't believe we've lost them. Like, Shahrukh Khan is not a 9 crore player. I get that he looked good in the nets, but he's just, he couldn't perform at the level, and the stats didn't lie. So he had some decent performances, but he's not a 9 crore player. I can understand the team maybe paying 4, but not 9. So to free up some funds, it made complete sense. Raj Bauer, high potential, but we've got Arthur Vataide, who has performed well inside Mushtaq Ali Trophy. So again, I'm more than happy to let him go. Baltej Singh, more of a first-class player, for my opinion. Mohit Rathi, very, very average leg spinner. Rajapaksa, he hasn't released any funds, but he's released an overseas slot. So I think that was the main advantage in getting rid of him. And I didn't think that we'd play him anyway. I would have expected us to get rid of Rishi Darwan potentially, because I don't know how much he adds. He's very much bits and pieces. But as far as who Punjab Kings are going to target, I'm quite excited to see. They've got quite a big purse because they didn't spend anything last season. So hopefully they actually blow the purse this time.
Well, that's not true. They spent loads last season on Sam Curran.
Yeah, but they didn't. They had like 12 crore left over. So They what they need is a middle order finisher. And I think I can't remember what his name is, and we'll pick it up in a future podcast sometime. But there has been a decent domestic hitter that has been kind of, at the trials and things like that. So we'll probably go hard on another unknown domestic hitter that might flop exactly the same as Shah Rukh Khan. But yeah, and then, just a decent overseas, probably another all-rounder or top order cover. It's hard to say, but it's a strong-looking squad. Hopefully, they're not all out of form like they were last year. I could completely see them going for Shardul Thakur, the Lord. Just need more Indian talent, don't they? Yeah, no surprises, really. I think they've got a pretty decent squad. So, yeah, no harm done. The only kind of the last point I'll make on Punjab was that the big question mark was over whether or not they'd retain Sam Curran, because he's obviously the most expensive IPL contract ever, 18.5 crore, I think. But I was quite happy that they kept him. I think he's got so much potential. Think about how good like Ben Stokes was at 25 years old. He's got that ability to grow into himself a lot. He improved with the bat last year. He averaged all right. So, and he was very much all over the shop. Everybody was out of form. So hopefully he looks a bit better with the ball this year, and he comes into his own. And I think he's the succession plan for the captaincy once Shikhar Dhawan retires. So it made sense to me, and I'm fine with it.
KKR have been interesting because they've really overhauled their pace department. They have let go Lockie Ferguson, Shardul Thakur, and Tim Southee.
And Umesh Yadav, actually.
Umesh Yadav as well, which again, Umesh Yadav, he was a real good prospect last year. Well, not prospect, but just had a really good year last year that nobody expected. David Visa's also gone, and they've also got rid of Ramananda. No, they've retained Ramananda Gurbaz. So, but they need a backup wicketkeeper batter because they've got rid of their other two in Liton Das and Jagadesan. So it's just they have a lot of holes to fill. I think David Visa was their sort of bowling all rounder specialist. Lockie Ferguson with that express pace. Shardul Thakur, just absolute consistency. I didn't really see them playing Tim Southee that much, to be honest. And then Shakib, who I kind of understand why they've got rid of Shakib, because there's quite a lot going on with Shakib at the minute. He's currently, I think, either appealing or he's in trouble with a government. So I can understand trying to distance from him.
Yeah.
Zach, what are your thoughts on the players that they've retained, though? Because they've got quite a big purse. So what do you think about who they've retained and what spots are they looking to fill?
I'm not surprised with their retentions. I mean, KKR are a team who never really change. They stuck with Andre Russell and Sunil Narayan for a long time. Nitish Rana as well. They're just, for me with KKR, they're the team that consistently underwhelm at the auctions and things like that. They never make any ridiculously exciting moves. They never do anything outside the box really with their team. And they relied on Rinku Singh quite a lot last season to get them home. And I just think they need... Andre Russell's not the same as he was. He's still probably a very good finisher and a good bowler. Sunil Narayan, nowhere near as good as he was with the ball, but still decent. I just think they need that star overseas player who can potentially transform their team. And they're missing a lot of fast bowlers from India. They're going to have to invest a lot of money in a lot of different players. Whether they're trying to get Shardul Thakur for cheaper, I doubt it. He's going to go for a lot. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure about Kolkata Knight Riders. There's a lot of confusion for me over them. I'm not sure what you think, James.
I think they've got a strong core. With Venkatesh Iyer, if he gets back to the form he had in 2021, they've obviously got an absolute winner there. Nitish Rana, I think, is good. Gurbaz is class. Shreyas Iyer, Jason Roy, Rinku Singh is incredible. Like, have you seen his international numbers? I'll get them up and I'll remind you of them in a bit, but they are absolutely unreal. He's such a good finisher, and he's in absolutely stinking form right now, unbelievably good form. That I don't see how he will not win them games. I've got them up now. In T20Is, he's played 7 matches, 4 innings. He averages 128 at a strike rate of 216.9. So I think he's a pretty good option. And then they've also got Soya Sharma, who's that really good mystery spinner. We know how KKR love the mystery spin. I echo your worries, though, about like Andre Russell and Sunil Narayan. It's a symptom of a larger problem, which is KKR are always too reliant on their overseas players.
Yeah.
When I look at that side, I see a lot of talented Indian players, and I just hope they don't overshadow them with, overseas players that might not live up to their potential. I'm thinking particularly of like Pat Cummins a couple of years ago, where they got him in, and he was never quite that good. Like, obviously, he hit that amazing 50, but I think he overshadowed what could have been an okay KKR side. So I'm interested to see how they do. I'd love to know what people in the comments think as well. But I think they've got a lot of very talented Indian players there. I can't actually see one that I don't rate quite highly. Maybe Anil Roy. I think he's all right. But I think the rest of them are very, very talented. Let's go on to Sunrisers, because I'm really interested by this one. They've released Harry Brook, who was obviously like their big splash in the auction last time. They've released Adil Rashid, and that's showing how much England players' stock has plummeted since the World Cup.
Did you just pause a second?
It's a symptom of how much England players' stock has completely nosedived since the World Cup. Kartik Tyagi is out. I said that weirdly. Kartik Tyagi is out. And Samarth Vyas, who he was someone that I thought would go for big money last year because he did really well in the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, but he didn't, and they got rid of him. So that's about it. They've got Shabazz Ahmed from RCB, and obviously got rid of Dagar. So they're the other side of the RCB deal. Whether or not they got a good deal, I don't really know. I've seen lots of mixed opinions on it. How do you think they've done? How do you think they look? So they've got another massive purse for the auction.
Yeah, I see Shabazz Ahmed as kind of like the Indian version of Akil Hussain. I look at Sunrisers Hyderabad and I think they're a team that James can get on board with, because they're just a team of bits and pieces players that will bat down to like 9 or 10. I mean, you've got Rao Tripathi, Glenn Phillips, Abhishek Sharma, Marco Janssen, Washington Sundar, and Shabazz Ahmed. They're all players that can just give something with both bat and ball. And in a way, you look at someone like Glenn Phillips, you see how well he bowled in the World Cup. He's just a great option for Sunrisers to have. And I think getting rid of Harry Brook, I understand, given they've got Aidan Markram and Hanya Klaasen and Glenn Phillips. Like, do they actually need another batsman? And I think if Glenn Phillips hadn't bowled as well as he had in the World Cup, I could see them getting rid of him over Harry Brook, because Harry Brook offers a bit more potential. So I think I can see the logic behind getting rid of someone like Harry Brook. But they've got a massive purse, 34 crore. They can get loads.
Sunrisers always have this habit of being able to get a massive purse, and they always seem before every auction to have like loads and loads and loads of cash to burn. And then always assemble a really good squad, and then always absolutely tank. Like, I don't know what it is about Sunrisers. I think we had them on paper last year to be one of the best teams, didn't we? And after the mega auction too, and they've just disappointed the last 2 years. Not really sure what their issue is. I'm actually quite excited that they've retained Fazal Haq Faruqi. I think he was one of the players that really impressed me in the World Cup, and I think he played really well. And I think it's good to see that you've got a player like him being retained, and being given that opportunity in the IPL. They have this massive purse though, don't they? So they have really the pick of the bunch to who they'll go for. I can see them trying to spend big money on, maybe, as you've said, that they might not need another overseas batter, but I can see them spending big money on like a big lights, big name overseas batter to try and get somebody in.
I could really see them, because like Zach said, they like their bits and pieces players. I could see them going hard on Rachin Ravindra, who is, obviously he's going to get a big IPL deal. He batted very well. I don't know how fast he can bat, which obviously is an issue in T20, especially in the era of impact players where you just need to be able to smack it from ball one, basically. But I think he offers a bit with bat and ball. They'll see that. They'll like that. They've got a lot of players that do that. But yeah, you can't have too many options, I don't think. The one player I want to pick out that I think could go either way is Anmolpreet Singh, who is one of their uncapped Indian players. And he, for Punjab, he scored an incredible ton in like the final, basically won Punjab the game. So he's got the ability to be incredible, but also his stats aren't that amazing. So I'll just be interested if whether or not he gets a chance in their middle order. Right. If you've watched this far, don't forget to subscribe. We do really appreciate it. We've got one more team to go. So yeah, thanks so much for watching as well. Lucknow Super Giants. Not a whole lot of interesting stuff is going on here, to be honest. I was quite bored when I read who they released and got in. They've got rid of Romario Shepherd and Avesh Khan. They've got Devdutt Padikkal. And yes, it's a bit boring. But the question is, where does Devdutt Padikkal bat? Because KL Rahul and Quinton de Kock are going to be the first choice openers. And they've got Kyle Mayers who can fill in for Quinton de Kock, but maybe they see Devdutt Padikkal as an option there. And then they've got Nick Pooran at 3, or Deepak Hooda, and Ayush Badoni, Krunal Pandya, Marcus Stoinis. They've got a lot of good players. What do they do with Padikkal? What was the point?
I see them just stacking their batting to like 7 and having someone like Devdutt Padikkal coming in at 3. Nick Pooran for me is more of a 4 or 5. And then Hardik, Ayush Badoni, etc. Krunal Pandya is probably more like a 7 or an 8. So I can see them batting deep. For me, Kyle Mayers is a backup overseas option. He's not a first choice overseas option for me. I mean, he was last year when Quinton de Kock was out early. He obviously impressed a lot, kept Quinton de Kock out the team for a while. And then as soon as he started performing badly, Quinton de Kock was straight in. But if they have that top 3 of KL Rahul, Quinton de Kock and Devdutt Padikkal, if Quinton de Kock goes out early, Lucknow Super Giants could be a team that is 70 for 1 after 10 overs and are just playing catch up the rest of the innings. I can just see that happening. And if KL Rahul bats 20 overs, they'll score loads. But if he's out in the 15th over, they're not going to score very many. So for me, getting Devdutt Padikkal kind of just slows them down a bit. And we don't want to see someone like Nick Pooran coming in with too little time to make a massive difference on the innings. And like you said, they've got Marcus Stoinis. He's another someone who can just come out and finish an inning strongly for them. So yeah, it was an interesting pick from my point of view. I'm not sure on your thoughts, Benj.
No, I agree with what you said, especially around Kyle Mayers. I do see him more of a backup. And I can see DDP coming in at 3. My rogue left field idea, though, is I could potentially see Devdutt Padikkal as a potential retention and captaincy replacement for next season's mega auction. Depending on how it goes with Carroll Hall this year for LSG, maybe they're trying to do some form of succession planning here. Maybe they're trying to, maybe they're looking at an exit strategy for Carroll Hall. That's my theory. I might be completely wrong, but this is Detective Benji on the case. That's what I think might be happening. I could be completely wrong. Please roast me in the comments if I am. But yeah, LSG, they've got the smallest purse. They've only got 6 slots to fill. They've only got 2 overseas slots to fill. So they've pretty much got their entire same squad. I think Dedrick Paddock can only be a good thing for them. You know, he deepens that batting lineup, as you say. He has a phenomenal IPL record. So yeah, exciting. So thank you so much for watching this far. I know this has been a long one, but there's been a lot to talk about. And yeah, the IPL is coming around again. I think we get more excited about the IPL auction than we do about the actual IPL.
But we're quite unique, aren't we? In that I don't think there are many podcasts outside of cricket podcasts outside of India that talk about the IPL auction.
I don't think so. So
we bring something fresh, don't we?
Yeah. Stay tuned. Perspective. Exactly. Stay tuned. We may well attempt to have another IPL live stream. Not promising anything, but you know, if we can arrange that, we'll definitely try and get that going. An IPL auction live stream. I, for one, can't wait to get my spreadsheet going again. That's, I think, my favorite bit of the IPL every single year is building my IPL auction spreadsheet. So anyway, with this video has gone on long enough. So thank you so much for watching. If you do enjoy content like this, please let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe. If you really enjoy what we're talking about, please do consider becoming a member, because that is the ultimate way to support the channel, and you can become a certified cricket nerd like us. So thanks so much.
It's very cheap too. It is very cheap.
It is very cheap too. But yeah, so thank you so much for all your support, and we'll catch you in the next one.